Today we are in Paris, and over the next 24 hours we've got an ID.3 and we are going to be traveling about 415 kilometers. So we've got a bit of a loop going from Paris to Burgundy and then west of Paris and back. It's a rental car, it's from Get Around, and the process was pretty simple, but that's not what we're talking about today. What we want to decide on is the experience of the ID.3. Is it a good car? Is it a good used car? Is it a comfortable car? That's what we want to check out today. Let's go. First things first, 4 adults in the car, plenty of space in the boot for all the bags, great stuff. The speakers only at the front, it's okay, sound-wise it's not amazing, I would say. First leg of the trip, 135 kilometers, mostly motorway, but a lot of traffic first, getting out of Paris. Right, so the car has driven about 3 hours this morning at 15.3 and we were on the motorway no more than 120 kilometers an hour, but it's still very good performance. Now, it was very slow in Paris for sure. We do have the aircon, it's quite hot outside, 27 degrees. I think it's a really good performance, 150 kilometers. And what have we got left? Well, it's not super clear from that, but can we get to see the percentage? I'm not sure. So about 45% of the battery has been used to do 150 kilometers. That gives you a sense of the total range of the car. We're looking at something like 300 kilometers, including a little bit of in Paris surroundings, and then afterwards quite a lot of motorway. Now it's second day, we didn't charge overnight.
So right now we've got the adaptive cruise control and it's really good. And the reason I'm saying that is it detects automatically the signs, it adjusts the speeds accordingly. I'm not so sure the lane assist is as good as that. Yeah, okay, fine. I mean, yeah, the lane assist is probably not as good as in the Kia Hyundai. But overall it seems still pretty good to me. One of the funny things on this ID.3 is that you don't really see the percentage of battery left. I mean, you've got to go in one of the menus, but actually I think you can just driving like you would have a normal petrol car. So you just check how many kilometers are left in the tank, and at some point you stop on the motorway. That's all you need these days, especially when you're in France and you've got all those chargers on the stops along the motorway, right? So look, I think it's incredibly smooth, this ID.3. I'm liking it, I must say. So this morning we've driven an hour on the motorway, 130 kilometers an hour in the main, 19.2 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. We've driven a total of 245 kilometers since yesterday at 16.8. So 245 and we are on 17%. It's okay, it's not amazing, right? So you're looking at less than 300 kilometers on a mixed motorway. I mean, a lot of motorway, to be honest, right? So at 120 doesn't consume too much, 130 a bit more apparently. All right, but it's not bad and it's very smooth. All of that is pretty good. Okay, let's get charging. Yeah, it seems very nice on the smaller roads. Yeah, it's good suspension, I suspect. I could use a little bit more oomph, but this is the 107 kilowatt version of the motor. So I certainly would welcome the 150 kilowatt version, right? So you want the 200 horsepower. Well, I do anyway. I think that would be that bit more fun. But other than that, I think we're good.
Right, on this kind of road, the ID.3 is supreme. It's unbeatable. You know, you've got that nice acceleration. I, again, wouldn't mind that little bit more oomph, but it's still very nice. It's a very comfy ride. It was made for this kind of roads, I would have thought. Now, you do feel a little bit the road still, right? So it's not super smooth, but it's smooth enough, right? I wish the seats give you a little bit more support maybe, but no, I think overall it's a great rounded package. And yes, you know, there's been so much talk about the awful screens, but they are not that awful at all. In fact, they're quite a bit better than on the other car that I'm driving right now. It's much more responsive. Another thing that's brilliant on this car is the turning circle. It's fantastic actually to be able to, you know, you just turn left at 270 degrees just like that. Right? So that's pretty strong as well. There's a lot of great things to say about this car, and you know, infotainment is probably not one of them. The fact that there's only 2 speakers, it seems, at the front. That's incredibly cheap for a car that would have been, what, £35,000 new back in the day. So they just cut the corners where it's not necessary. I really don't mind the plastics, frankly. I'm not sure that's a big deal, and the space you get is quite good, and therefore, you know, it's a bit like in the Hyundai Ioniq, the original. It's very plastic inside, but who cares? After half a second, you've forgotten about that. So being plush inside, yeah, okay, feels good when you're testing the car, but I think you just forget about it soon enough, as long as it's silent. And I think if there's one thing that I'm quite impressed with on the ID.3, and yes, this is testing on the French motorways mostly, and a little bit on the B roads, which are pretty smooth, but I'm quite impressed with how silent this car is. And I'm not just talking about, oh, it's an EV so it must be silent. I'm talking about this is a pretty well managed car when it comes to external noises. One thing that I'm surprised with, and I may have not found it, is how do I look for a nearby charger? And whether you go here or whether you go here for the recharge, yeah, I didn't see any indication of where would you find your nearest charger, which is a bit poor. If that's correct and confirmed, you can tell me in the comments. But the screen and just the layout of the options, again, I was expecting something terrible. It just works. I think it's super intuitive. I wish you could have a bit more display of multiple things simultaneously. I think this screen is quite limited. I mean, not showing the percentage, I think it's a bit poor. I love to see my watt hours per kilometer, but that's because, you know, hey, we are the EV dabbler, we are geeky, we're just like that, and that's not really necessary. Although in some cases, just knowing your consumption is not bad. I'm not saying you can't see it, you can see it on the main screen, but yeah, I just wish you had that bit more. Really not important, because I think this proposition is you sit in the car, you just go, and that does that very well. It's just a car that you don't worry about, you just drive around. It's very pleasant, it just works. So well done, Volkswagen. That's what I was hoping, frankly, from this car, and I think it deserves that kind of merit and that kind of brownie points for just being a simple car that happens to be electric and that does a lot of things very well. It's just a shame they completely messed up that kind of launch before because of, you know, skimping on a couple of buttons here and there, etc.
but it does all the hard things very well, and it forgot to do a couple of the supposedly easier things well enough, right? And you know, there's probably a reason why a lot of the cars that get sold in Europe happens to be Volkswagen, you know, ID.3, ID.4, ID.5, ID.7 as well. You know, they are all at the top of the league table, and I think it's quite well deserved based on the experience of just this 24-hour test, about 450 kilometers. If I'm honest, the battery is not huge, but I think for most it's fine. It charges fast enough. We did our 15-minute charge and that was fine. Had a coffee, really could use the time. So all of that is very good. 90 kilometers an hour on some kind of, you know, a road / motorway, incredibly smooth. Right, this is really nice. You get a sense of that very quickly. Perfect test for the adaptive cruise control when there is a slowing down and there are cars in front. I think it works well, but let's check that. I don't know if it does the stop and go, for instance. It certainly does the stop for a start. And it doesn't do the go though. You have to press the pedal and then it reactivates the automated cruise control or the adaptive cruise control. Yeah, that's okay. So when things are very slow, this car is quite efficient. So 13 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers on the last 70 kilometers. And we've been driving at 53 kilometers an hour of average. So you can see that it's perfect for your commuting. It's going to be super efficient and therefore quite affordable. Of course, all the more if you are going to be charging it overnight on cheap tariffs, or as it happens these days, not just overnight, but when you plug it and you let the grid decide, or you let your provider decide when is a good time to charge the car, and that can actually also be during the day. So that's actually what we are on at the minute, and we happen to charge the car quite a bit during the day as well as during the night. So anyway, that's a bit of a buy to buy, but the car here is very good in this kind of painful suburban traffic. And you know, in the traffic jams, this is getting into Paris. This is the A6. It's a classic, it's a Sunday night, and you would totally expect that. There we have it. Also the mix since recharging on the motorway to about 58%, something like that. We've consumed only 13.4 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers in the last 3 hours driven, and that did include quite a bit of motorway. And yes, crossing Paris, so the reality is that's motorway that's pretty slow, so you can see the average 60 kilometers an hour only, but still very good consumption, I think, for this car. Now of course outside, perfect conditions, almost 30 degrees Celsius. It was more like 25 driving around noon, but loads of aircon is what we're using, because frankly it would be boiling inside the car otherwise. Right, so 6385. So we've done 410 kilometers over the last 2 days, which is pretty much what I was expecting. So going to Burgundy and then going to well, someplace west of Paris and then back. All right, so overall, yeah, no, great car, I think, especially given how affordable they're now on the used car market. I mean, I see loads of positives. It's an easy car to drive. It has a great turning circle. It has all the key options. It has the adaptive cruise control, which works well enough. Inside, you are well seated. The suspension is great. The acceleration is good enough. So look, I think in the round, that's absolutely great.
as a used car. I don't know for those who bought it new whether it was great value for the money at the time, but you know, used, I think it's an excellent buy, so highly recommend from that perspective.